Making an episode of a live action show is a lot like baking a pie. To make a good one requires equal parts hard work, time, and love. If you succeed, you'll create something great to be enjoyed by everyone. But if you are missing even one of the key ingredients,
you will fail, and it will burn,
leaving a lingering scent. My name is PIEGUYRULZ, and I'm here at the bottom of the bakery to smell that pie. Metaphorically speaking, of course. In reality, I'm here to talk to you guys about an episode of a Schneider's Bakery show that was really not good. Hey guys, PIEGUYRULZ here, and welcome to a very special Bottom of the Bakery. Yes, for the first time, I am going to be covering a Victorious episode. So I made a joke in a recent Bizarro Bakery saying that I would never review Victorious, and to be completely honest with you, it was just me trolling. I always had plans to review something from Victorious at some point, as long as it was bad enough. The only obstacle with me and Victorious was just that I've never seen this show before. I had even less knowledge of this than Zoe 101, so in order to properly review something, I knew I was going to have to sit down and watch a bunch of the episodes to really get a feel for what the series is. And that's exactly what I did here. I watched the first 5 or so episodes and a few episodes from season 3 before watching the episode I'm going to be covering today. If you want to know my opinion on the first season of Victorious, it's like, okay. There are some jokes that actually made me laugh, and the characters seem at least a little more interesting than the Game Shakers characters. And some of the stories themselves are actually kind of different and interesting. But it still has some major problems, like really stupid endings, a few obnoxious characters, like Tori's sister, Trina. It seems like almost all of these Schneider's Bakery shows have a sibling character that's just obnoxious for one reason or another. And Trina's exactly one-dimensional shtick of, I'm so much better than you, except lol, I'm actually terrible at everything, got on my nerves by about the 3rd episode. I have other things to say about Victorious, but I'll go into them as I cover more episodes on the Bottom of the Bakery. Anyway, I've had people request to me 2 episodes of Victorious over and over and over again. The episode I'm going to cover today, Brain Squeezers, and The Breakfast Bunch, which I also watched in preparation for this video and had considered doing a review on it, but for right now I'm deciding to pass. It's not that The Breakfast Bunch isn't bad enough for a Bottom of the Bakery review. Oh, it definitely is awful. But I feel like a lot of what I'd have to say about that I've already said in #SuperPsycho. It's a lot of the same sort of weird, cringy parody of something that the characters just don't fit into in any way, shape, or form, and something that's completely unintelligible unless you've actually seen the source material, which I have not. With all that out of the way, let's get to the episode. I did decide to cover Brain Squeezers. Looks like today on the bakery, they're serving up the brains of one of the writers. Just kidding, it's made of Jell-O, I think. Why are they putting it in an oven? Because they're just wacky like that. You know Schneider's Bakery. Okay, so the story behind this episode is that Tori has been selected to go on a game show, and she can bring 3 of her friends along as a part of her team. All of her friends, and the mean girl, and her sister, and that creepy Sinjin kid, pester Tori about getting her to pick them to go on the game show. And that's the whole first half of the episode. I'm gonna talk about the second half later because that's when it really goes off the rails. But in terms of the first half, it's okay. It's your typical character got free tickets to something and has to bring people along but can't bring everyone story, so it's nothing really new or exciting there, but alright, each of her friends has their own little methods of trying to get Tori to take them, by either threatening her or promising her things or trying to act like they don't want to go or whatever. It's at the very least passable. No, the reason this is on the Bottom of the Bakery is because of the second half of the episode. So Tori decides to pick the 3 boys. When Tori gets to the studio, she finds out that Jade signed up as Tori using a fake ID, and Tori herself is apparently not able to prove that she is who she says she is because she doesn't have a driver's license. Also, the friends that Tori selected to be a part of her team were totally ready to go on the show with Jade and completely screw Tori over. Some friends they are, right? I mean, you'd expect this from Jade, but the rest of them, man, that's rough. So Tori puts up a big fuss about the fact that Jade stole her spot, and the producer of the game show comes out, and his solution to this problem is to let both Jade's team and Tori, as well as the rest of her friends, go on the show against each other. What doesn't make any sense to me is that wasn't there supposed to be some other team going on against Tori initially? What happened to them? Did the producer just axe them because Tori was putting up a fuss? Or was there never another team to begin with? Did another group cancel at the last minute and this was a fill-in? I don't know, they never explain it. Sure, why not? Okay, so you would think that this is going to be some sort of big competition between Tori and Jade because Jade stole her spot. But this game show, Brain Squeezers, the last 10 minutes of this episode, it's nothing but the cast of the show having random crap fall on their heads as they fail to or are unable to answer the questions. Seriously, that is it. The host will ask someone a question, they won't know the answer, and something will fall on their heads. Or they won't get a chance to answer because immediately after the question is asked, something falls on their heads. This is 10 minutes long. There is no competition between the two teams because no one can do anything because every time a question is asked, characters just get crap dumped all over them. The only other thing that happens is that Kat is asked what is the aloha state, which was something referenced by her earlier in the episode, and she of course says, Hawaii, which astonishingly doesn't get crap thrown in her face, but instead means that Tori wins the game because that was the only correct answer given the entire freaking time, and her reward is that she gets to reach for money while a wrestler is dumped on top of her. Cue the end of the episode. I have so many questions. How is it that all these kids that were super excited to go on this game show have not done any sort of research about the show? Even if this was the first episode of Brain Squeezers, which I guess it's implied to be, surely there had to be some information about the show that the producers gave out ahead of time. Otherwise, how would you know what kind of game show it even was? Secondly, what kind of game show is this that throws car batteries on people's heads and nuts and bolts and toilets? We never get any sort of explanation. Is this all some sort of elaborate reality prank show? Are the producers just sadistic and insane? And how on earth are they not gonna get sued into oblivion? And while it might sound like I'm nitpicking little plot holes that don't matter, the problem here is that nothing about this game show is ever explained. It's not foreshadowed and there's no wrap up at the end. It's just an entirely crazy left turn that the episode takes midway through with no justification. It may not seem like much, but these little details are a sign of a well-crafted story, and they go a long way in helping the audience buy whatever ridiculous situation they want to drop the characters in. And it's not like it would cost some screen time to just fill in the blanks a little bit with exactly what's going on with this odd game show. There is no longer a story in the second half of this episode. The middle of it sets it up like this is going to be some rivalry between Jade's team and Tori's team, but since no one can ever answer any questions, it doesn't actually matter. There is no rivalry. In fact, the entire episode is pointless because everyone got to go on the game show anyway. So not only is the second half devoid of story, but it nullifies everything that came before it. The episode sets up that there are only a few spots on this elusive game show that everyone wants to get on, and then it turns out that, oh no, everyone can go on. And as far as the whole dumping random objects on the characters' heads, I get that it's supposed to be comedy, and yeah, the first and second time it happens, it is surprising and a little bit funny. But the problem is that this happens every single round except for the last one, meaning it is no longer surprising and it is definitely no longer funny. And I usually try to be lenient on the wacky factor in these shows because that is what a lot of the primary demographic does enjoy, and it is somewhat of a selling point for these shows in general. But there is just way too much of it here. They definitely need to tone it back at least a little bit, or even just insert some sort of story to go along with the wacky dumping of batteries on characters. Also, half the characters on Brain Squeezers are pretty much innocent. Tori and her team did nothing wrong. Jade stole her spot, and her friends were willing to go on without her. So I'm down with a little karmic justice on them, but Tori and her friends just don't deserve it. Especially poor Kat, who seems kinda traumatized. As it stands, this episode is actually kind of a good metaphor of what Schneider's Bakery is like right now. They don't care about stories, they don't care about endings, they don't care about details, they don't care about working out the logistics of how anything would actually make sense in some sort of world like this. All they want to do is have these wacky scenarios, which is just kind of sad because really, to make the wackiness work, you do need a story around it, and you do need other jokes than just unfiltered wackiness at 100% all the time. It's ironic that the episode is called Brain Squeezers because someone clearly was not using theirs. Oh, so I guess it was Jell-O, because Jell-O melts in the oven, right? And brains don't, I guess? Don't test this stuff out at home, kids. Just take my word for it. This is how Jell-O works. Hey, where'd it go? You know, I really should have seen that coming. Well, I hope you enjoyed this installment of The Bottom of the Bakery. Sorry I kept you waiting so long on the Victorious thing, but I wanted to do it right. If you haven't yet, please check out the other videos in this series, as well as my Bizarro Bakery series where I take a look at better episodes from the Schneider's Bakery shows. And with that, Pie Guy rules,